very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us here on Aso Radio and Television. Now, today we join the entire nation in mourning the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who passed on July 13th, 2023, that was yesterday, in London at the age of 82, following a prolonged illness. Buhari marked Nigeria's history in undeniable ways, first rising to power as a military head of state in 1983. He later made history in 2015 by becoming the first opposition candidate to defeat a sitting president in a democratic election, a watershed moment in Nigeria's democratic evolution. His presidency was shaped by a fiercely anti-corruption agenda and vowed to secure the nation, while his tenure saw notable military gains against Boko Haram. The broader promise of security remained unfulfilled and economic challenges deepened. Yet, even amidst these tensions, many Nigerians remember him for his integrity, for his discipline, and approach to governance. He stood for public service, simplicity, and stern moral compass, qualities that shaped his public image until the end. President Bola Tinubu has described him as a patriot, a soldier, a statesman to the very core, and has ordered the Vice President to accompany his body back to Nigeria, a gesture that underscores his impact on our nation's political landscape. On behalf of Aso Radio and Television and every listener and viewer or follower of our show across the Federal Capital Territory and across Nigeria, we offer our deepest condolences to Buhari's family and to all Nigerians feeling the weight of this loss. May his journey in the beyond be that which is brightened. Well, that was a very sad one indeed. But we would try to continue our programming and segment as we always do here on the show. Today is Monday. I hope you, in spite of the news today, are trying to get by. We would go to the newspapers after this short break. When we return, we would have a by day with sustainability polls, and then agriculture for today and tomorrow promises to be very interesting. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
Welcome back from that break. We'll start the newspaper review segment, and I know that, of course, as it is expected, all the papers this morning is talking about the tributes that are coming in for the former president. We start with the Leadership newspaper this morning. The Leadership has here, "Good night, May Gaskia." That's how the Leadership phrases it. It says, "Good night, May Gaskia." And the riders on the ride under that lead story is first opposition leader to defeat incumbent. That's what the Leadership is saying. First opposition leader to defeat incumbent. His politics, life, and timeline of his medical trips. 10 things he will be remembered for. Special tribute by Femi Adesina and Garba Shehu. All this is on page 17 to 19 of the Leadership newspaper this morning. That's the lead story right there. But above the masthead of the Leadership newspaper, it says Tinubu, OBJ, IBB, Jonathan, African Union, governors, others mourn. Special edition, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR 1942 to 2025. Okay, double blow. Oba Adetona, Buhari's longtime friend, dies at 91. That is very, very sad right there. We lost two prominent Nigerians yesterday. Oba Adetona, who also is the former president's friend, also passes on yesterday at 91. Okay, Shetima accompanies body from London to burial today, flag at half-mast as president convenes FEC. That's the Federal Executive Meeting. But that's it for the Leadership this morning. We quickly move on now to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper here still talking about the passing of the former president yesterday afternoon, I think, or morning. I think he actually, according to the official statement, he passed on yesterday morning. Tributes, reflections on legacy as Buhari bows out at 82. Tributes, reflections on legacy as Buhari bows out at 82. The man, his legacy, policies, health, and controversies. That's on page 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Morning as Awujale, Oba Adetona passes on at 91. Opposition laments as APC sweeps Lagos local government polls. That's coming from, that's a story right there. It says Tinubu Atiku distracting youth from nation building. Right, it snapped us right back into the politics. Interesting. It says Atiku, Tinubu, Atiku distracting youth from nation building. I'm not sure. I think that's an editorial. I'm not sure who is credited to have said that, but that story is on page 28 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And at the footer, Anglican bishop decries hardship, says it adversely affecting churches. Oh yes, it is adversely affecting everything. It's adversely affecting nutrition. It's adversely affecting everything you can think of. Pharmaceuticals is affecting everything. But the church is crying out as well. 2027, presidency may use courts to scuttle ADC, Mark warned. 2027 presidency may use courts to scuttle ADC, David Mark, who is now, I think, the acting chairman of the ADC, is warning, is preempting that the presidency may use courts to scuttle the ADC. Contractors to shut down FCT roads in protest against indebtedness. Contractors to shut down FCT roads in protest against indebtedness. Who is owing contractors? That story is on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper, talking about a protest to shut down FCT roads. Indebtedness. That's interesting, because we had a contractor right here on the show who was very willing who was happy that the FCT minister had, you know, gotten them their monies and everything was very well. So I'm surprised they are saying contractors. And finally, on the Guardian newspaper, Labour Party slams Abure over secret meeting with Wike, reaffirms suspension. Labour Party slams Abure over secret meeting with Wike, reaffirms suspension. Quickly, we'll also move on now to the Liberty newspaper here. It says, Nigeria mourns as former President Muhammad Buhari passes away in the UK. Tinubu orders Vice President to bring the body home. Zamfara leads as Nigeria records 6,800 deaths, 5,400 kidnappings in 6 months. Buhari rejected proposed 10 million naira Aso Villa food budget. Garba Shehu said Buhari rejected proposed 10 million naira Aso Villa food budget. Why I served people food in Imo? Peter Obi is responding. Remember that story where, or rather the viral video of the Labour Party 2023 presidential candidate who was serving food. I don't know if that was a restaurant, I saw people seated, or it was an event, but I rolled my eyes. This is just photo ops for politics. I, Joy, as in my lowly place, would not serve food because it's not what I do. That does not show service or how humble I am. None of those people seated there will want to serve food. I mean, why would you want to do that? We want to see service in several other ways, and we've seen politicians do that, especially when they are trying to warm up to the people. They serve food, they eat akara. We see them frying akara on the roadside. We see them eating corn with fellow Nigerians in the street. We see all that. Yeah. But well, he has an explanation here in the Liberty newspaper. It says, why I served people food in Imo. General Kazir raises alarm over great damage to North by Arewa 24. I think that's calls for resistance to divisive agenda. And that's it for the Liberty newspaper this morning. Quickly, we also move on now to the Nigerian News Direct. It says, Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, Okonjo-Iweala, governors, others mourn as Buhari dies at 82. That is the Nigerian News Direct newspaper this morning. The Nigerian News Director, I'm trying to get your attention. I can see on the screen there that it's not the paper. I'm at the Nigerian News Direct newspaper this morning. It says, as federal government orders 7 days of national mourning, the North has lost its moral compass. NGF is saying. We have other stories here. Gunmen abduct cleric in Edo, demand 30 million naira ransom. That's an unfortunate one. I thought Edo was beginning to be calm. But we have other stories. It says 2027, APC planning to frustrate ADC with legal cases. David Mark has alleged. APC sweeps Lagos local government elections, secures all chairmanship seats, 375 councillorship positions. That's it for the News Direct. Okay, so yeah, we have purported defection of Adeleke, mixed reaction in Osun, PDP and APC. Apparently, there has been purported defection rumors from the governor. With that, we move on now to the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. The Daily Sun has here, cotton falls for Buhari Awujale. Cottons fall for Buhari Awujale. Flags at half-mast as Shetima leaves for London to accompany body of late ex-president home today. Tinubu, Atiku, Kalu, senators, others mourn. Okay. The Sun newspaper has here, Nigeria faces external shock risk as dollar inflows deep, slumps to $4.84 billion. CBN citizens cut supply to forex market. Insecurity, step up intelligence gathering, be proactive, NGE tells security agencies. And that's it for the Sun newspaper. With that, we move on now to the Matrix newspaper. I'll just quickly run through the stories here. Buhari's death, Nigeria world mourns. And the writer here says, Tinubu summons emergency FEC meeting as federal government plans full state burial. Tributes pour in as president declares 7 days of mourning. Below the masthead, adieu Awujale. Nigeria lost a revered traditional ruler. Tinubu is saying Sanwo-Olu mourns commiserate with Governor Abiodun Ijebu indigents. Article 2, Tinubu, Nigerians suffering your hasty, thoughtless subsidy removal policy. I don't even have the strength to respond or to analyze and have that conversation right now, but we have other stories here. We do not have much time. Where were you after BRICS summit? ADC queries the president. Where were you after BRICS summit? Okay, that's a good question. President, where did you go after the summit, the BRICS summit? Moreover, was there something he was supposed to attend? Was there an event he was supposed to attend? Why are you questioning his movement? Where were you after the BRICS summit? The ADC is asking the president. Maybe the president went to have a good time. I don't know, but ADC is asking. Davido hints at Governor Adeleke's defection to APC in a new song. I think that's what's fueling that alleged defection rumors that the Osun State governor is bound to defect. Quickly, we move on now to the Daily Trust newspaper. The Daily Trust is leading with the story, end of an era. That's what it says here, end of an era. Still talking about the passing of President Muhammad Buhari, end of an era. Saying Buhari stood firm. Buhari stood firm through the most turbulent times, leading with quiet strength, profound integrity, and an unshakable belief in Nigeria's potential. That's coming from the president, giving his tribute right there. Says he stood firm through the most turbulent times. And indeed, Buhari's administration didn't come with its own. Simultaneously, Awujale dies at 91 after 65 years on throne. Agitation for new states, local governments dominate North Constitution review hearings. Agitation for new states, local governments dominate North Constitution review hearing. And that's it for the Daily Trust newspaper. Quickly, we'll just run through the Punch newspaper this morning, still talking about the former president's passing. Tinubu ex-leaders gather for Buhari's burial in Daura. Ex-president dies in London hospital at 82. Shetima arrives with corpse. National flags fly half-mast as Obasanjo governors lead tributes. A general's legacy. Buhari marched through history. Nigeria-US export plummet by $527 million amid rising trade tensions. 2 months after Trump's 10% tariff move, Nigerian exports suffer sharp decline. Okay, that's it for the Punch newspaper. We quickly move on now to the Vanguard newspaper. The last paper we'll be taking on this segment right here, deluge of tributes as Buhari dies at 82. How he traveled to London, took ill, died. Tinubu orders Shetima to bring home Buhari's body from UK, declares 7 days mourning, summons emergency effect meeting tomorrow. Obasanjo, IBB, Jonathan, Atiku, Osibanjo, Okpabio, Obi, governors, others pay tribute. And that's it for the newspaper review segment this morning. We will move on now to an interview we had a couple of days ago. I told you about the FCT contractors, the indigenous FCT contractors. We are happy that Nigeria, the government, public office holders are beginning to see quality, capacity in country and patronizing our own. That interview will come up shortly. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
Hello there, thank you so much for joining us on today's edition. And we have gotten to the interview segment where, like I said earlier, we'll be discussing road constructions, Nigeria's indigenous construction companies, and what they can do for you. Is it time to trust us? You know, there have been calls for more indigenous companies to be given an opportunity into Nigeria's infrastructure and development space. Very few have broken through to deliver on expectations. My guests today are one of those few. One of the companies, however, that have defied odds, and especially in the just concluded road construction that was commissioned by even the minister of the FCT, and in his speech he gave some sort of endorsement and excitement on the job that was delivered. That was in Ushafa, Abuja. Some of you who must have read about it, driven past that road, or even saw the commissioning in Abuja must have been very excited about that. This is an indigenous construction firm that has successfully executed road projects, and that has not only improved transportation access but also restored confidence in our local capacity. Well, in the studio to discuss this very important issues and get into this construction company. I'm sure you're already wondering who they are. Before we would quite shortly take you to what the minister says, let me just quickly introduce my guest right now. We have Engineer Muhammad Abdullahi. He's the Executive Director Technical of Abdulval Limited. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you very much as well.
We also have Engineer Yusuf Goteng, Executive Director Services. Welcome to the studio.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, they are both of the Abdulval Limited, a construction company. We're discussing indigenous construction companies' perspective on the roads, Nigerian roads. Before we get into this conversation on how we can build trust in our local capacity, let's get to what the minister said after that construction or during the commissioning of the Ushafa roads. We'll be back after that. Enjoy.
This project, 16.4 kilometers, it goes to the village of Safa. I didn't even know there's a war military college here. I never knew. So this process started before we came on board, before the administration came on board. BBP approved, but it expired. So when we came on board, I looked at, they said I should resubmit it to BBP. I said, who is this contractor? They said, Abdulval. I said, which one is Abdulval again? In the construction, I've never had one Abdulval. I've been very careful when it concerns road work. Because I know road network or road infrastructure is key to opening up of areas and for investors to come in. So I was not comfortable when I saw that it was a local contractor. I said 16.4 kilometers. So I said, let me see that contractor. He came. I said, you. So I called my chief of staff, go and find out where his company is. Check the equipment they have. Because obviously, with my experience, I don't want these portfolio contractors. So my chief of staff and the team went to a site and came back and said, look, sir, there's some equipment. I said, look, I'm still not convinced. Show me the picture they showed me. I said, are you sure that if we didn't go there and snap some areas and put it? I said, I'm not convinced. I had to go myself to the site and I saw some equipment. I said, okay, first of all, the administration has always said we must encourage local content. We must encourage local contractors. We must build our own. So I came here, I saw the place. I said, you mean you can do this road? Sir, it was terribly bad. What I mean terribly bad. So we came in, it was flagged off September last year, and it was given 15 months. I have never visited a project like this. I've been here more than 15 times. I've been here not less than 15 times. Sundays, Saturdays. Sometimes I'll tell my agency, call this contractor on phone. You call him, Abdulval, I'm here. What is happening? Are you sure that this job will be completed? For Mr. President to inaugurate for a second year in office, he says, sir, I can assure you, I said, hey, my brother, you know me, I'm a troublesome person too. If you don't finish this job, because I've already told Mr. President that he was going to inaugurate this. So if it's not, there's a problem.
Welcome back from that. That was our minister, excited. He too, just like a lot of Nigerians was skeptical about engaging an indigenous company, and we've been screaming for local content. So it's exciting to have the team from Abdul Val Limited, who have been doing so much around construction and projects and all that. But let's get into the company. I'm not sure, should I get to services or technical to tell me what the Abdul Val company is about and when you started?
Abdul Val Nigeria Limited was registered in 2011, where we became fully a limited liability company in 2020.
Wow.
There are jobs we have been doing. University of Abuja, internal road work was awarded to us by the Federal Capital Territory Commission in 2019. We have completed phase 1, phase 2 as well. We have completed it. Only now we intend to do more in respect of the other outstanding work in the permanent side. We have also been doing work with the Federal Housing Authority as well. We have internal road network under construction with them as well. We have other supply and procurement. We do so many other things. But actually, what brings us to the limelight is this Usafa checkpoint road.
Right.
Actually, it was a big challenge to us. Now we look at it from so many perspectives. The time being given to us are indigenous. We found out that in engineering there's nothing like indigenous. We only talk of standard.
Right.
Standard. There is no indigenous. When you go to Germany or USA or London, every engineering standard is standard. So that is the first thing that made us to push for the project. We have been doubted whether we deliver or not. Then we look at it, okay, this is a task being given to us by the federal government. So how do we come about it? We look at the things, factors that will influence our delivery of this thing on time. The contract was actually awarded for 18 months. But government, just as the minister said in the opening ceremony, we started the procurement process ever before he came. When he came, he was doubting us, and I myself, I commend him for doubting, but that is a task, it was a task given to us, and we were able to achieve that. So the first thing we do, we were able to convince, look, regarding equipment, we have equipment. A company doesn't stay alone. We have guarantors. You have good relation with banks, with other things. They can, from there, they see your performance. So ours is just, okay, let us say, this administration, this is what they want. What do we do? We approach the project on three aspects of it. Okay. Because those are the things that increase cost of the project and time on delay as well. So the first aspect of it we consider was the technical aspect. In the technical aspect, we have this equipment. What do we have on the ground? Can it meet the time? What do we need to do to increase the number of all our major equipment? That is number one. The harms. This project, as it is dualized way. We have other infrastructure with it. We have drainage infrastructure. We have solar street light included as well. So we look at all these components. So we have to search for equipment for all this. We did that. The second aspect of it is the personnel. Since we are looking for speedy completion of this job, so the most essential thing that we did is to mobilize more personnel. And this personnel are in categories. The top management, this thing, we have it. The engineers, we have it. And at the end of the day, we have to even snatch some workers from other neighboring companies, which is normal, it's competitive. How do we start there?
Exactly.
We increase the take home for each of them. So we see some of them coming with application that's, but we work with the experience, not the learners. So those are the aspects, the technical aspect of learning. The third one was, okay, the design itself. We had meeting with our supervisor as well. Let's look at it. There's a time frame given to us on this. What are the competencies? We solve it together. thanks to them. They should be listening to us. Whatever is within their power, we will go further. And every other decision regarding the design, we agree on it. We criticize each other and we agree on it. The third aspect of it, we find out that this thing will even cause our problem or the social aspect of it. Luckily for us, since I've been working, the cooperation these people, villagers give to us,
wow,
that is very fantastic.
So they were happy that people were here.
The indigenous, because the road is piercing through a developed area.
Right.
There are so many social problems around. So we had meeting with the traditional ruler. This Usaba as a layout, it has been encroached. So those are essential things to solve. We cooperated with them, they cooperated with us as well. The other arms of a government that is in charge of establishing the rights of way for us, that is development control. We wrote to them, fire our supervisor. So they went there because those are the things that cause delay. Right. So they themselves, they came in. Wherever we are, when we have marked our right of way, they do the necessary thing, essential thing to be done by them. So that even increase our distance. So from that social aspect of our distance, the indigenous, what do? We have more than 400 workers we employed, and operators. Right. And each of these people that are engaged, they have at least 5 dependents.
Of course.
So by the time you multiply that, you see. So it appears our coming was even a blessing to the indigenous.
Absolutely.
So they were very happy. So they themselves, don't let me use the word indigene. Sorry, because in Nigeria we at times the residents. The resident. And so we had meeting with the resident, all of them, batch by batch as they are coming. Whatever their complaint, socially we are solving it. So that really made all our work. Even before we reach there, they are saying, "Oh, this we have done." Some of them have even demolished their encroachment and other this thing. So we are able to gain time in that aspect of this thing. The other one is with our project mate, that 30% advance payment. And if you are serious a contractor, whether you're foreign or indigenous, that 30% is for you to go. So from there, we're able to manage our distance and go further. With our speed, you have minimum percentage you must walk before payment is made. We have considered that once our people, supervisors saw such a thing,
they knew that you were serious.
That is the essence of this thing. We had a coordination, but really, there has to be correct in any project you have. If you said 2 people are working together and they don't correct, then there's something there.
Absolutely,
so
that's true.
But those correct didn't reach our heart. It's for the project.
It's true.
You see, on the day of this, joy was everywhere. Everybody, because don't say we correct up to that, so we keep on telling them the technical correctly, social correctly, and all that.
And sometimes it is very, very important. It's very good for the quality because you're coming with a perspective, another person is coming with a perspective.
Regarding the quality also, we have a standard lab we established.
Okay.
And those tests that you cannot even that need urgent this in our residents.
No,
importantly.
Yeah, no, I'm coming to you right now. Okay. I'm coming to you right now. Before it got to this stage where you had bidded to even get this job, like the minister has just said, just like a lot of Nigerians, he's skeptical about using Nigerian indigenous construction companies. What was the hurdle in proving yourself to the point where you even got the 2019 job with the University of Abuja project and getting here? How has it been in getting that to that point?
Most importantly, any work for a company, you have to start somewhere. That starting point consolidate whatever you are going to do in the future.
Right.
Already we are on ground. Just like he has said, we're in the university, we know what the terrain is and where are we going to. When we started on this job before the coming of the minister, already we have gone far. And just like he said, at the verge of his coming in, this process was almost completed. And when he saw it, he said, no. A local company cannot handle this job. And he was skeptical. But as God will have it, with the determination of the MD and also the minister himself also. Because if he had not given us that chance and believe in what we have said, this would have not come to fruition. But I want to say something. every person, being a professional, just like my colleague has said earlier, standard are standard. You cannot run away from standard. The only thing is, if you don't have capacity to meet up with that standard, that is where you will be found wanting. But if you actually want to meet up with that standard, you must have the capacity and the muscle to do that. And I think the company has done enough to have the backing of who should be able to fund us and also move us before the ministry does anything. And that has helped us in a big way, because virtually all our machines were new. What we brought in were completely new. So we don't have any reason to say we have a breakdown, and that's where services come in. We don't have a breakdown, we have minimal breakdown. And then also, we have improved in the technical manpower.
Right.
The people that are coming in are experienced people. We try to get the good hands that are coming in, so that we have minimal time to waste. Haven't told us that they want to commission this project at so time, and we have actually promised to deliver within that time frame. We must work towards it, and the only way to do it is you have to now work tirelessly. We have worked. There is no Saturday, no Sunday.
Wow.
No morning, no evening.
You just walk all through.
Wallahi, all through. That has been it. But importantly is the determination, and then the need for all of us that have seen that we need to now synergize and move to be able to deliver within the time frame that is available. There are hiccups here and there, but we are able to manage it, and at least we should be able to contend with those problems as they come.
As a formidable organization, of course. So have you had instances where you of course you know you can deliver on this, but you were not picked over another company only because it's foreign?
Yeah, we've not had that challenge at all, but we know the terrain we are operating. Right. Nigeria, as a nation, have not given us the chance to showcase what we have.
Exactly.
We cannot say we work in isolation. The Nigerian content must also meet up with the foreign.
True.
We as Nigerians engineers must allow also foreigners to partner with us. That is natural. If you want that transfer of technology, as we are saying, the only way out is you come, let's see what you have. And we may even be better than you.
Yes, exactly. Because you know the peculiarity of your terrain.
Yes, so we may even be better. He too will come and learn from us. But let us also socialize together. Just like
for both.
Exactly. Just like in engineering, the person on the road will not say he will not interact with the person who is doing electricity or who is doing mechanical work.
Exactly.
You have to interact together and understand, where is this man coming from? What is his problem?
Exactly.
He too will understand what is your problem. Then how do we come together and assist each other? That is the only way to work. Engineering is a family business. It's not a one-man show.
Everybody
is involved.
Exactly.
Even somebody who is not an engineer will come with a better idea of how to do something. All you need is,
however crude
the thing is, all you need to do is to modify what he has said and then improve on the suggestions he has given you in a more technical manner, something that is more presentable.
So do we have the technical know-how in terms of manpower in Nigeria? Another argument often is that, oh, these companies come, they still need to get individuals, expatriates to do the work because we do not have the technicalities in country. What would be your response to that? Because we can see on the screen now that there seem to be locals as well as
foreigners
in your organization.
Yes.
I don't subscribe to that belief that foreign trained companies are individual personnel. they are more than Nigerian. You see what we are really trying to do here, and we're able to prove it. I'm very happy. As I've already told you, engineering only has standard. Whether you are black, you are white, you are. If you look at bulk of this,
yes.
The so-called foreign companies, foreign affiliated company, not even because
right.
Actually you can't call Beggar a foreign company.
You can't?
You can. Then the generals look at their directors.
Exactly.
Do you get me that? They have international this actually. They are Nigeria limited. Do you get me? But look at the people that are really doing the work. 90% are Nigerians. It's the shame making that the foreigners are coming. Are coming here to do. But one thing I just want us to do, we have enough professionals in Nigeria. The only thing is we have to give them opportunity.
Good.
In engineering profession, we are ranked. We have engineers in higher cadre, we have technologists, and we have our artisans and others. They are all being certified by Korean. So if there's enough follow-up, nobody can go to abroad and practice without the Korean registered. The same thing which we are applying it here. They go to the same interview. All the white men will even employ them at this thing. We interview them.
You subject them to the Nigerian.
We interview them. What made suggestions? You know, in Nigeria we are what we are. If you come up now before you, everybody will know you. You offend me, or you give me a certain job of what, I will fire you. No, we had that consideration in Nigeria. That is what you say. This one will not be able to say go away. Because it's somebody that employed him. That's the only thing the white people they have in Nigeria, not the technical how or anything that will be there. But that, I can't just say, Kenejuku, you are fired.
You're fired, yeah. So there's a process to firing that they hold on to. But here,
you look at so many factors. We are third world country. We should not forget we are third world country. No matter how progressive we are, but we must be ourselves on this thing. Somebody can make an error. That error does not mean that you should give a maximum punishment. You want him to gain experience. From there, he gets better. He gets better. So those are the.
So let's get to the heart of Abdul-Wahab. Okay. What are the services you provide? So far, we have seen road construction, but is there more to you?
We do building. Just like the projects we have with federal housing, we do buildings.
Okay.
Even FCT also give us some building works.
Right.
Because at the moment we are carrying out a modern police station.
Modern police station?
Yes. That is in the modern, those critical areas where the FCT administration felt that it is of high security concern. They have established some flashpoints and also establish some police stations in those localities. And we have one of the projects we're handling at the moment.
Okay. And forgive me, is it the federal government?
The FCT, the FCT administration.
Okay.
Yes, gave us that project.
Right.
And
that's interesting.
We're also carrying out that police station. It has a police station, a staff housing estate attached to it, and it's built in a more modernized way. That's why I say a modern police station, because it's not just a police station where you have the hierarchy of the police administration. It's a one-story building of the police station, and then the staff housing has two-story building.
So you do buildings as well?
Yeah, we do.
Wow.
We do, and we provide also electrical works.
Is there something in the construction value chain that Abdul-Wahab doesn't do?
You see, engineering per se, if you have the personnel and the equipment, there is nothing in engineering that you cannot do it on. All you need to do is to pull to your technocrats, and then you see how you do it. And in every aspect of engineering, you will see that the other complementary role is there.
Right.
If it is the road, as the road is going on, you have electricity there, you have water, you have storm water. All these are also complementary to the road. And when you come to, for instance, if you are doing building, you also have the electrical people there, you have mechanical people there, you still have the civil people who are dealing with the structure of the building itself. So It's just as you
You
come,
forgot
which
me, the journalists who would ensure people.
yeah, we need you to publicize what we are doing also.
So I just wanted to chip that in.
Thank you.
What would you say when it comes to infrastructure policies? What would you like governments to concentrate on to get construction work, projects just as yourself, engineering jobs, and especially not just engineering?
This would have not been achieved.
25 years. What is even there is standard is 25 years.
Okay.
Then when it's around 20, start the procurement process.
For maintenance,
So that immediately this start them
You see all those places where you have some, now you come in.
When we get pipeline work, wind right then, we need to. So we have acquired more equipment, more SLA in different fields.
Wow.
Architecture, quantities of yacht and this thing, because these are the things that make Nigeria happy. When you see work going on, and every in Nigeria you employ at least 5 dependents.
It's true.
You have
So it's not a
500 people working.
reverberating effect.
That was, and I want government also to see your side. When they see, I'm giving this money to this company, don't say you are giving it to this company.
It has
Remove
a
that perspective.
yes, especially because you would spend your money. Hopefully, you will spend your money in country.
In the country.
Yes, in the country, and then enhance economic activities. Thank you so much for your time. We've been having this conversation around indigenous Nigerian companies and how we should start trusting indigenous companies, especially Abdul Val, that has been doing a lot in construction and maintaining quality in what they do. We've had engineer Muhammad Abdullahi, who is the executive director technical of Abdul Val Limited. We've also had engineer Yusuf Goteng, executive director of services. Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of the show, and well done in the work that you do.
You're welcome.
So this is where we end this interview segment. All the programs begin shortly. We'll be back after that.
Climate finance. Who's really paying for Africa's green transition? Hello and welcome to Sustainability Pulse with Abide, your go-to platform for facts, content and conversations on climate action, policy and the path to a sustainable future. Ladies and gentlemen, we're watching today. I'm kicking off with a powerful new series. I'm sure we all enjoyed the series on beat plastic pollution. For this series, we'll be talking about climate equity and accountability. And we're starting with the question at the center of it all. Who is paying for Africa's green transition? Is it the world's richest countries who have caused this crisis? Is it African governments trying to keep up? Or is it the African people, again, carrying the burden? Let's unpack it all and understand where we are. Now, at the recent World Bank IMF spring meetings, African leaders renewed their call for climate finance that is predictable, accessible, and fair. With COP30 happening in November this year, which is just around the corner in Brazil, Africa's negotiators are uniting around this demand. Ali Mohammed, Kenya's advisor and Africa's lead climate negotiator, made it clear that there is no reverse gear on climate ambition. Africa is not backing down. Meanwhile, the World Bank president, Ajay Banga, said the institution mobilized for the $3 billion in climate financing this past fiscal year. But here's the challenge. most of that is flowing to middle income countries, not Africa's most vulnerable regions. And this is the fact on ground. Globally, a wave of interest is rising around debt for climate swaps. Yes. Where countries receive debt relief in exchange for investing in nature-based solution or clean energy. It's a bold idea, but is it working for Africa? Would it work for Africa? Let's see how that is. But seriously, the truth is, if we can swap our debts, for, climate action, I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's something we can look into as a continent, as a country. We can look into that. Different countries within Africa can look into that and see the possibility of having some debt relief as a result of taking action to curb climate crisis. We're going to short break, and once we are back, we'll look at the reality we find ourselves and how Africa needs to meet up with the climate targets. Just stay with us. We're going to short break, and once we are back, we would continue.
Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to The Pulse.
Yes, welcome back from that short break. And just before we went on the break, we're talking about, Africa's need to step up in terms of climate finance. We looked at how the World Bank IMF spring meetings and Africa leaders renewing their call for climate finance, that is actually predictable, accessible, and fair. We also looked at how the World Bank, is trying to actually improve the climate financing we find ourselves. Now, the reality check, Africa needs 277 billion US dollars annually to meet its climate targets. But in 2021 to 2022, all climate finance flowing into Africa totaled just 43.6 billion US dollars, less than 16% of what is actually required. Even more concerning, 70% of this financing is debt, not grants. Not grants, debts. So it means that we still have to pay back. This means that African nations are being asked to borrow their way out of a crisis they did not cause. They didn't cause it. And the cost of borrowing is much higher than in developed countries. Africa's spotlight, Nigeria's latest sovereign green bond, came with an interest rate of 19%. For context, countries with France or Germany borrow at 2 to 3%. This bond will support projects like solar energy, green buildings, and forest protection, but at a high cost to the Treasury. Kenya is preparing its first sovereign green bond under ICMA. And the whole idea is for it to be compliant, with ICMA's, framework. It needs 62 billion US dollars to meet its climate goals by 2030. Over 87% of that is expected from external partners. Now, let's look at Senegal. Senegal signed a 2.8 billion US dollars just energy transition partnership with European and Canadian government to boost renewables to 40% of electricity by 2030. But critics worry. Who monitors implementation? How transparent is the process? Let's take a break now. But no, not a break now. Let's look at a breakdown, the breakdown of how things are working. Whilst the African governments are trying, to get their hands on, monies to actually help sustain the climate financing project, they're also drowning in debts. Just look at that breakdown and imagine, while trying to solve a problem, we're incurring more debt as a continent. That in itself is not fair. Now let's look at what is working. Green bonds are increasing visibility into how money is spent. Yes. Now, new climate resilient clauses in debt contracts allow repayment suspension during disasters. The African Development Bank now has a strong sustainable bond framework to support African states. But that can work. Let's look at what's not working. Debt for climate swaps are too small. Barbados, for example, saved $50 million US, which is just a drop in the ocean. A drop in the ocean, $50 million as to almost $300 billion US that we need. That's just a drop in the ocean. And private sector funding still avoids Africa due to perceived risk. Yes, you will not blame them. Conditionality traps force, African governments to cut social spending while taking on climate loans. Yes, how do we do that? Cut down social spending. Let's face the real issue at hand. Your voice matters. Now, as citizens, as advocates, as young people, how can you engage? How do we track these people? How do we track this spending? How do we track this finance? How do you join the conversation? Track your country's climate bond and budget and bond. Ask your local government, for example. Your local government, of course, in the chain of command from your state government, your local government, ask them, what's going on within that state? The green bond budget. Do they even have a green budget fund going on in that state? And if they do, where does it go to? Join civic tech groups. There's budgets, for example. And these are ways to actually hold the leaders accountable. So even at the local government level, you can actually hold them accountable. At the state government level, you can hold them accountable. If the federal government is going to release a bond, a budget, a green budget, for example, we need to see how we can hold these leaders accountable. Now, we can also use the tools like Open Climate. There's actually a tool called Open Climate or CPI Tracker to follow international finance flows. Yes. And when we follow this money, we can change the narrative. And the truth is, Africa has a lot to do when it comes to climate financing. Beyond even seeking for these debts or for these monies, there's actually a lot we can do within our continent, within our countries, to ensure that the climate finance gaps are closed. There's a lot we can do as a country, as a continent. Now, we'll go on a short break, and when we are back, we'll look at, how Africa prepares for COP30 in Brazil. It's coming. 30 years, the Conference of Parties, year in, year out, we gather in some country and discuss a lot of things. But where do we go from there? And how is Africa preparing for COP30 in Brazil? And we need to be clear on this thing, for example. We're going to COP30 as a continent or as a country in the continent. What are the conversations? What do you bring to the table? What do you drive during the whole conversations? How do you negotiate? Yeah, we actually have a chief negotiator from Kenya. But those negotiations, to what end? And more than ever, we need implementation, driving action towards implementation. That is not far-fetched. But as a continent, we need to be prepared for COP30. So we're going on a quick break, and when we are back, we'll look at how we're preparing for COP30 as a continent, and of course what the numbers are and what we should be demanding as a continent. See you shortly, and when we are back, we'll look at this and what we should do as a continent going forward.
Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, From green entrepreneurs to eco warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to the Pulse.
Yes. Now, here is a call to action. As Africa prepares for COP30, let's be clear. Africa should approach negotiations as a united, assertive bloc, demanding justice, equity, and accountability across all pillars of the Paris Agreement. The continent contributes least to the global emissions, yet bears the brunt of climate impact. This must be front and center. We keep saying it. Africa actually is the greatest sufferers, but we're the least emitters of this hazard. So what do we demand as we approach COP30 in Brazil? What do we demand? What do we ask for? How do we put our boots to the ground? Now, climate finance justice demand full delivery of the $100 billion per year promised by developed countries, not loans, but grants and concessional finance. We must drive that these monies must be grants and not loans. We can't try to solve a problem and at the same time incurring debts. Now, we have to push for a new finance goal post-2025 that reflects real needs, actual needs. Africa alone may need 2.8 trillion by 2030 for its NDCs. Yes. Our nationally determined contributions. We need finance. We need new goals on how to achieve our NDCs by 2030. And those demands have to be met. They have to be met. Climate finance access reform. We have to simplify and fast-track access to GCF and other funds, especially for frontline states. Now, for loss and damage, we have to see how we can actually operationalize the loss and damage fund with clear, non-bureaucratic pathways for African countries to access funding. The truth is, let's demand more grants, not loans. We need, and we can't keep, keeping silent or keeping our voices low as a result of trying to play small. As a continent, we demand. We shouldn't just ask for. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones suffering the most. So let's demand for more grants, not loans, more transparency, not bureaucracy. And most importantly, more inclusion of young people, women, and grassroots groups in climate finance decisions. We shouldn't just listen to them. We should amplify. And for this episode, we shouldn't just listen to this episode. We need to amplify this episode, share this episode, tag your leaders, speak up. We deserve better financing as a country, as a continent, and a livable future for all. And as usual, we won't have these conversations here today, without driving our sustainability tips for the week as usual. We would not wrap up without engaging you all and charging you all to be sustainable leaders, even in your homes. In your homes, your churches, you have to see we have to learn how to step up and see, best ways, to actually join the fight. You don't have to have so much money, no. And these are the myths we have to change. You have to rethink your spending. Finance your own climate action. This might sound big, but you can start small. Choose eco-conscious banks or fintechs that don't invest in fossil fuels. Yes. Look out for them. Imagine all of us watching this today and we tell ourselves, you know what? For every bank, if any bank actually finances or invests in fossil fuels, we will boycott that bank. Imagine all of us taking a stand. We have to learn how to also support local green businesses, from farmers market to solar startups. Reduce your personal debt and redirect savings towards energy-sufficient appliances. Reusable items or even community cleanups can be done. Where your money goes, your value grows. And also remember that climate finance is not just global. It's personal. Every naira, every dollar, every CD you spend can either build resilience or deepen vulnerability. Let your lifestyle be your statement. You know, and like I keep saying on this show all the time, that this is not just a show. This is not just a regular program where we all come together and we just tune in, listen, and I talk about climate change and sustainability and it goes away. No. We all have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to hold ourselves accountable and ensure that we do what is right. And how do we do what is right? By being conscious of our living. By being conscious of living sustainably, of adding our own quota, contributing our own quota to sustainable living. And how you live sustainably will definitely determine how long you will live. I keep telling people that you don't have to have so much money. As simple, and I keep saying it, as simple as having a reusable water bottle, as simple as that can make all the difference. As simple as using a tote bag instead of plastic bags can make all the difference. As simple as rejecting single-use plastic can make all the difference. It starts with all of us. It starts with me, it starts with you, it starts with your friends, it starts with your pastor, your imam, your father, your mother, your relatives. It starts with all of us. And until we begin to wake up to these things, we cannot achieve any progress. And so, and as I said, the climate finance it's buzzing. We need to keep doing our bits. Of course, the government at its end would have to see how they can drive climate finance from its end. But you, as an individual in your home, look at what we can do, by yourself and for yourself, to live sustainably. And I do hope that we're not just thinking in our minds that this is a conversation for the rich. I keep saying it, we need to bust this myth. No. This is a conversation for all of us, and we have to keep at it. Let your lifestyle be your statement. Let your lifestyle be sustainable so you live longer and healthier and better. I hope we have gotten major insights on today's episode. This will be it for today's episode, and do not forget that we're here Mondays and Wednesdays to drive conversations around sustainability and climate change. The series on climate finance will not stop. It has started today, and for a few more episodes we'll talk about climate finance and see how we can move forward as a continent. What are the things we should look out for from as a continent in the conversations that we'll find ourselves in November, gathered on in a place called Brazil in November, talking about climate finance and climate justice. How do we move from there? What are the conversations we should have? How should Africa actually stand its feet to the ground? How should Africa ensure and insist, on grants and not loans? How do we ensure, that we build resilience and actually, and ensure that we move from here? All of these things have to come into proper perspectives. Our government will have to step up. Our leaders in Africa will have to step up. This is a time not for us to be lax or to be relaxed in any way. We have to demand for more grants. We more than ever, we want justice for Africa when it comes to climate change. And so we must be resilient, and we must uphold what we truly believe in. Like I keep saying, we're the lowest emitters. We're the lowest emitters, and everyone has to come on board. Both young people, women, old people, grassroots groups, leaders at the local government level, traditional rulers. Everybody has to be on board on this. I hope that we are taking something very valuable today. And while we're thinking your life on how you can drive sustainability within your own sphere, look out for your neighbor as well. Talk about it. Share these conversations you have heard today. Share the post on your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter. Talk about it as much as possible. Let's hold our governments accountable. Let's hold our leaders accountable. Let's ensure that we are all on the same page. And like I keep saying, and let's not forget, while we drive climate conversations, climate finance at the international level, at the regional level, at the continental level, right here, even in your homes, you can also be accountable and, of course, live sustainable. Until next time, keep staying informed, keep staying engaged, always tune in and ensure that you join the conversation. And above all, stay sustainable, live sustainable, breathe sustainable, and, just be an all-round person who is geared towards living a sustainable life. Until next time, we would be stopping here on Wednesday. Tune in, same time, 9 a.m. Tune in and let's, of course, get into the conversations and see how we can encourage ourselves to stay sustainable. Until next time, this is Ebaide, your host of the Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide. We're here to give you the pulse, the reality check, to urge you, and of course, to ensure that no one is left behind in this conversation. Until next time, do have an excellent and great week ahead. And don't forget, do not forget, this is a movement. It's not just a show. We're all in this together. Live sustainably. And until next time, see you on Wednesday morning by 9 a.m.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity. because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abu.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, Channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, Channel 127, or YouTube livestream, GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future. In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, Channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, Channel 127, or YouTube livestream, GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future. In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube live stream, GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Can you hear me? Welcome to another episode of Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow, where we promote smart solutions for greener harvests. How has your weekend been? Have you had fun? Have you woken up rejuvenated? I hope you're in the office. I hope you're hustling. I hope you're doing something interesting, something in contribution to the betterment of society. Over the weekend, we had the very sad news of the demise of our past president, President Muhammad Buhari, and we want to, as a whole team, condole with Nigeria, condole with the family for the passing of our president. I remain Daniel Black, your host on this show, and this is a Media for Agricultural Development project of GSAI, that is Growth for Sustainable Agriculture Initiative. Yes, in our previous episodes, we have been talking about different aspects of agriculture. We have talking about best practices for livestock farmers in the rainy season, and best practices for even crop farmers in the rainy season. Today, we are going to be talking about something, best practices for people at homes. You may not necessarily be called a farmer, but of course you eat, so you need to produce your own food, and this is one of the things we have been advocating for. So today we'll be talking on container gardening, a practical solution for household food security. Can we actually achieve food security in our different households? Is it possible? Today we want to explore the possibilities of using container gardening as a means to achieving food security within our household. But before we dive into that, let us understand exactly what is container gardening. So container gardening is a versatile and accessible way to grow your own food. It is the use of containers, sacks, or different medium that can hold planting components together for the growth of food and other plant life. So yes, this method allows individuals to cultivate a variety of fruits, vegetables, and herbs in containers, to providing a very reliable source of fresh produce for their household. In container gardening, to simplify, to put it in the very simplest forms of conversation, it is the use of containers, and these containers can come in various ways. It can be plastic containers, it can be sacks, can be even any form of container. And of course, recently people have started using tires and anything that can hold together your planting components together to grow crops. And this is very, very essential, because we have people that always say, I would have loved to own a farm, but I don't have space. I have cemented the whole of my compound, so I cannot grow crops. Container gardening comes to solve that problem. Wherever you are, you can actually grow crops, irrespective of the nature of your environment. You can be in a place where the soil is not conducive for planting, you can use container gardening. You can be in a place where the whole place has been, for people living in Abuja, some of us can be living in a place where our whole compound is rocky. We see people building on rocks, and of course you cannot plant on rocks. You can still use container gardening. Of course, you live in a compound where everywhere has been, you've used concrete asphalt, concrete flooring on all of them. You can still use container gardening, because no matter the aesthetics, no matter the condition of your house, you still need to eat, you still need to provide food. And we are here saying that container gardening can be a means of food security in your household. So it is important that you know that container gardening has come to be a solution for people in different households to provide at least basic vegetables, basic food items that can be produced. And today, beyond vegetables, we can also produce some very strong food items like yam, like potatoes. In the house, you can also plant carrots, you can plant onions, you can plant vegetables, leafy crops like ugu, like efo, that is the green. You can plant watermelon, you can plant cucumber, you can plant tomatoes, you can plant pepper, radishes, lettuce. All these are things you can actually plant in your house, and then you are beyond even providing food. It also provides a very safe and sure means you are able to tell the source of your food. You are able to tell what is used to prepare the food you're eating, especially these vegetables that have come to form a compulsory part of our daily meal. So container gardening is as important as that, but let's dive a little bit into benefits of container gardening. Number one, it is space saving. It can save you space, because by the time you can have a little space here, and then you can use container gardening to maximize that space. It could be your lobby, it could be a veranda, it could be a small space in your environment. It could even be by the side of your car park, your car parking space. It could be where you do your laundry. It could just be that balcony at the back side of your house, or any place. These are places you could, otherwise you cannot do conventional farming there, but with the use of container gardening you can maximize those spaces to produce any of these foods that we've mentioned. Imagine planting beans in your house, and at the end of your planting season you are able to get up to half a bag of beans, if not more, because you were able to utilize the space in your environment. Of course, you can also plant, like I mentioned, carrot. You can plant efo green. So many people eat green a whole lot, and imagine having an endless supply of green because you've utilized the space in your home. We are also talking about flexibility. Container can be moved to optimize sunlight. So yes, unlike the traditional farm where if something happens, for example, you were farming here and then maybe a tree grows in that place, or even a construction is done, a building is erected close to your farm, and then all of a sudden your farm is blocked from direct sunlight. Container gardenings are mobile, are very flexible. You can move them depending, all of a sudden you want to use here for a different purpose. You can actually move your farm. So container gardening is more like a mobile farm. You can relocate them without harming the crops that you are cultivating. So container gardening comes as a very, very flexible means of farming, mobility and ability to adapt to new environments. And of course, container gardening provides an all year round means of planting, because in the container gardening you are able to control the factors, of course, so you can plant your fruits. All these fruits that we've mentioned, you can plant them all year round. For example, people do not plant beans when the rains are high, because the flowers are very fickle, and a little wind can blow up the flowers, making them unreproductive. But if you do it as a container gardening in your environment, you can control it. You are able to either relocate them and put them where the wind does not affect them so much. So whether in the rainy season or in the dry season, you can plant your beans and have beans all year round using container gardening. It is very important that households begin to consider container gardening as a very important component. It would be very pleasing to see where estates begin to plan their housing units with container gardenings as key components. And you know, some people feel, oh, I don't want to use sacks, I don't want to use plastics, because of course they probably will make my compound dirty. There are now aesthetic containers that you can do. You can paint your gardening like I remember back in the day when we went to do a container gardening job for a compound, and after using tires, it was looking a bit tacky. We had to get innovative. We brought in an artist. He painted them different colors, and of course the compound became lively, both with the containers, and of course they were cutting off, they were harvesting their ugus, they were harvesting their ginger, they were harvesting their lemongrass, they were harvesting their what do they call it, different crops from that place, and yet it was acting as an aesthetic component in the environment. Of course, pest control is very, very easy with container gardening, because most times they are a bit very small in quantity, and you are able to manage them even with organic components. Fresh produce, of course, when you have container gardening, you are always having endless supply of fresh produce, where you are able to where you're able to just move to your backyard or wherever your containers are and harvest your tomatoes, and you are sure it is fresh. You are sure it has not been refrigerated for so long. You harvest your lettuce, you harvest your ugu or whatever crop you're planting there. You harvest your beans, and you are sure that it has not been subjected to unwholesome storage chemicals. Imagine how beautiful that would be. And then if we have households keying into container gardening and practicing container gardening in that massive quantity, the pressure on even the open market will reduce, and then maybe commercial farmers will now begin to focus on commercialization, on supplying to industries, on supplying to processing plants, right? While households are feeding from the produce they are making in the house. And of course, beyond container gardening, we're also talking about even poultry. Livestock can also be kept in small scales, in cages, in battery cages, not at the commercial quantity. You can have 10 chickens, you can have 10 rabbits, you can have snails in tires, you can have these different livestock, and then of course, because of their size, you are able to manage them, because most people complain, no, when you keep livestock, the odor, it does this and does that. Because of the size, so far as you're keeping for just household consumption, if you're keeping goats, for example, for household consumption, at no time should you have more than 5 goats per time. Should your goats give birth to the smaller ones that are more than the number you should keep, of course you can sell them off and make income. So it is possible to manage container gardening, to manage small scale livestock in a way that it is still aesthetic, in a way that it is still useful to the household. So let me just give us some very quick tips before we call it a day on this. On container gardening, number one, you have to choose the right containers. So yeah, there are some containers that are suitable for gardening, especially looking at the type of crop you want to plant. For crops like yam that require a very large land space, you have to use something a bit large, like a 20-liter container or a cement bag, or in fact a chicken feed bag. You know, a chicken feed bag, that 25 kg bag, that should be the kind of bag you use for your cultivation of yam, so that you give it enough space to expand. And then of course you select suitable crops, of course based on the crop you're using. You did that determines the kind of sack or container you're using to plant. And what you're seeing on your screen, the lettuce can grow at different parts of the container, of the sack that is being used there. So yes, use of quality potting mix. You use quality potting mix. That is the soil that you use to plant. Most times you can use the soil, but that is if you are able to sterilize the soil and ensure that it is of quality, and you do not carry germs, they do not carry any form of diseases. So also make sure you provide adequate sunlight. So wherever you're situating your crops, your gardening, your container gardening, there has to be direct access to sunlight. It's either they have direct access to sunlight, or you can be taking them out to the sunlight, you can be moving them continuously. And then of course, water and fertilizer. Some people just plant their crops and then they go off. Container gardening also needs watering and also needs fertilizer supplement, and most times organic fertilizer is enough, because you remember that the soil there is in a controlled quantity, and you do not need to put excessive inorganic fertilizer. So organic fertilizer that can easily decompose and become part of the soil matter will most times suffice for that. So I want to really hope that somebody has gotten an inspiration, somebody has learnt or decided today that they would begin to incorporate container gardening in their environment, in their households, as a means of food security. That is all we'll be taking today on Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow. I remain Daniel Black, your host. Follow us on social media to continue the conversation at GSA Initiative on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube to continue the conversation. See you in the next episode.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow.